Okay, listen up. Here's how to perform emergency first aid for your pet. And that's my dog shaking his fur out right there. Really? Okay, go lie down. Good boy. Now, it's probably one of the most terrifying things you can imagine. Your beloved fur baby needs emergency medical assistance right now. Whether it's from choking, massive bleeding, or any other unimaginable situation, sometimes you need to act fast before you head to the vet. That's why it's crucial that all pet owners not only have a kit at home with basic emergency medical supplies, but also the knowledge on how to administer first aid on their fluffy friend. This video guide will tell you exactly what to do in different types of emergencies when your pet's in trouble, and every second counts. Now, before we delve further, take a second to click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got lots of useful videos like this one coming out daily on the bright side of life. So, let's review. In case of poisoning, how to help a cat. Now, how can you be sure your cat's got a case of poisoning? Typical symptoms include vomiting, diarrhea, salivation, skin irritation, and convulsions. If all of this was caused by poisonous gases, smoke, or chemical vapors, immediately get your cat out to fresh air and try to revive it with a cotton swab dipped in ammonia. If the animal doesn't respond, administer artificial respiration. In case the poisoning is from ingesting chemicals, toxic plants, or medicines, try to make your cat vomit by giving it a strong solution of baking soda or salt mixed in water. However, if the cat has been poisoned by an acidic substance, by no means should you induce vomiting. The harmful acidic effect will only cause more damage when it moves back up from the stomach through the esophagus. Instead, give your feline companion a drink that will neutralize the effect of the acid. Some milk or egg whites mixed in water should do the trick. Use a small syringe to force your cat to drink the mixture. That'll be a lot easier to do if you swaddle your kitty so that it can't run away. Just remember to keep its head tilted up and not back, so that it can swallow the drink without choking. Now here's how to help a dog. The main symptoms of poisoning in dogs are vomiting, diarrhea, convulsions, or muscle weakness, refusal to eat, and whimpering. Again, the same thing we covered with cats. If it's from vapor poisoning, get your pup out into the fresh air. If it's from ingesting something toxic, but not acids, induce vomiting with that same solution of water with baking soda or salt mixed in it. Once your dog has vomited, you can use absorbents like half a pill of activated charcoal per pound of its weight, or something called enteros gel, to absorb the remaining poison in its stomach. If your dog got into some rat poison, you'll notice blood in its stool and vomit, and a garlicky smell coming from its mouth. In case of an airway obstruction, here's how to help a dog. If foreign objects get in its airway, a dog will normally lie down with an open mouth and glazed look, twist its head, paw at its mouth, and rub its head against the floor or ground. It'll also drool excessively. In this case, you must try and make your dog vomit. You can also pour a few teaspoons of vegetable oil into its throat, then try to remove the foreign object with your fingers or tweezers depending on the size of the object and the dog. How to help a cat? In a similar situation, a cat that's got something lodged in its throat will show similar symptoms. It'll have increased salivation, it'll rub its muzzle, cry out, twist and turn, make chewing movements, and try to swallow the object or pull it out of its mouth. You'll also hear a kitty cough and breathe with difficulty. Carefully open its mouth and inspect the inside. If you find a foreign object, try to pull it out using tweezers. If you can't get the stuck object out with tweezers, then lay your cat down on your lap. Lower its head, tap on its back, and immediately turn your pet over on its side. Then press on the ribcage toward the breastplate. Check if the stuck object is now accessible, and pull it out if it is. If it's not, repeat these steps until you remove the object from its throat. In case of electrical shock, how to help a dog. Start by removing whatever's plugged in from the socket. Open the dog's mouth and pull on its tongue to free the airway. Check if the dog is breathing by looking at its chest. If it's moving, that's a good sign. Then feel its pulse on the inner surface of the thigh. If there's a pulse, but the dog isn't breathing, perform artificial respiration immediately. In case there's no pulse, perform closed-chest cardiac massage. When this heart massage is combined with artificial respiration, it's called CPR. To administer CPR on your dog, put your fingers and thumb behind your pet's elbows. Compress the chest 6 times, give it a breath, and then repeat. You should do 80 to 120 compressions per minute. It'll be more effective if the heart massage and artificial breathing are performed at the same time. So if there's another person around, have each one of you take a task. Pause for 10 seconds every 2 minutes to check for a pulse and breathing. Keep going until your pet can breathe again or you feel a steady pulse for 30 minutes. Once you've done all this, still take your pooch to the vet immediately. How to help a cat. Now, if your cat's gotten into some open wires and has been shocked, start by cutting off all the electric currents in the room. Then put on rubber or woolen gloves and pull the animal away from the wires. Check for breathing and a pulse. Cool down the burned areas and then perform CPR. Again, be sure to take the animal to the vet as soon as possible. In case of burns, how to help a cat. In case of a thermal burn involving steam, boiling water, or fire, you can try this tea remedy. Make a strong brew by putting 3 tea bags in a cup of hot water and add tons of ice to cool it down. Then moisten a cotton swab in the cold brew, blot the burn site, and hold the swab on the wound for 5 to 10 minutes. Gently dry it off with a napkin and apply an antibacterial ointment or cooling spray to the burned area. In case of acidic chemical burns, wash the affected area with plenty of water and apply a swab soaked in a 1:1 solution of baking soda and water. How to help a dog. Start by shaving the fur around the affected area and treating it with a solution of potassium permanganate. Apply a cold compress on the affected area and then put a loose-fitting bandage to protect the wound from damage and licking. Replace the bandage every single day. In case of a chemical burn, douse the affected area in water for 10 to 15 minutes. Try not to let the water soak other parts of your pup so that the chemical doesn't spread. For injuries and sprains, how to help a dog. If your dog has taken a pretty serious hit to a limb or any other part of its body, you should first and foremost apply a cold compress to the damaged area and treat the scratches with hydrogen peroxide and an antibacterial ointment. In case of a fracture, you'll notice the injured area get swollen quickly, and you'll feel crunching when you touch it. Before you take the dog to the vet, fix the fractured limb to a splint. If your dog has sprained its wrist or ankle, apply a cold compress and take it to the vet. How to help a cat. Place the cat on a flat surface and inspect it. If there's no way to call a vet in the first few minutes, you can make a splint yourself. Just take a piece of cardboard or anything hard and flat like a popsicle stick and fix the limb to it with a bandage. In case of an open fracture, remove all visible foreign objects from the wound and apply antibacterial ointment to the edges before dressing it. Then you can apply a pressure bandage. Now you can take the cat to the vet in a carrier. Put a blanket on the bottom to prevent your pet from sliding around. In case of bleeding, how to help a dog. You can stop minor bleeding by placing some gauze on the cut and putting something cold on top. Then rinse the wound with clean water and treat the edges with an antiseptic. If your dog is bleeding quite heavily, wrap a bandage around the wound nice and tight. If you see contamination in the wound, treat the edges with an antiseptic. In case of profuse bleeding, make a tourniquet by wrapping a bandage tightly around the area above the wound. Put a stick through the bandage and twist it clockwise until the bleeding stops. How to help a cat. If your cat is bleeding, press a cotton swab or gauze on the cut. In case of bleeding from the eyes, use a cotton swab soaked in cold water. As for bleeding from the nose, use a swab but don't block the cat's breathing. Also, don't remove the bandage to check the wound every minute. It's totally unnecessary and actually irritates the wound, making it bleed longer. Well, hopefully you won't ever need to actually do anything of the things we covered today. We only want your fur babies to be happy, safe, and healthy after all. But now you'll be prepared in case your furry little friend gets into some trouble and needs your assistance ASAP. That being said, Always take your pet to the vet even after you've administered first aid. Only a vet can tell if your feline or canine companion is completely out of harm's way or still needs further treatment. Now, has your pet ever gotten into trouble? It could be something medical like we talked about today, or something harmless like chewing on your mom's shoes. You know my dog Riley that shook his fur in the beginning? He was sprayed by a skunk in the backyard and then ran through the house, chased by the skunk. Boy, did that stink. And there are some cool recipes to get the smell out. Share your story with us in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a like and click subscribe to stay on the bright side of life.